Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Hope you're doing great wherever you are. It's a little bit of a cloudy morning this morning, but I am up bright and early and just enjoying every moment of this time we have. I'm having a cup of tea this morning, which is kind of a unique one, and I wanted to share it with you. It's matcha tea. Now it's from a company called Evergreen Matcha, and I was sent a sample of this, and I've been tasting it over the weeks, and I really love it. I knew that matcha tea was really good for you. It's actually a traditional Japanese green tea that's drunk by monks, and it's meant to be the elixir of vitality and health. And it's really an interesting tea. Now, I've made a big mug of it, and you can see, if I can show you how green it is. It's really, really green. And but that's because matcha tea is actually made from the whole leaf of the tea. They grind it up, and there's a various, intense process that goes on before that maximizes the flavor and the antioxidants. And it's a great source of iron and potassium, all kinds of cool things that we need to keep ourselves healthy. So that's my matcha tea for this morning. Hope that you've got a cup of tea or coffee and just enjoying this beautiful day wherever you are. So, a topic today that I wanted to chat with you about was one that kind of raised a lot of emotion for me. And it's maybe the time of the year, maybe it's just the time of my life. I'm reflecting a lot on the places that I have traveled in my life. And, sometimes I think I don't travel enough. I wish I could go here or there. And then I stop to think I've really done a lot of travel. I've been so fortunate that I guess I made it a priority. I spent money on travel above everything else, and that's okay with me. That's where I am today because of that. But I have seen some incredible places and done good things. But I was trying to remember some details of a trip a few weeks ago, and I was chatting with my son here in Switzerland. And I asked him, do you remember that trip that we did to India? Because we flew to really exotic places, even when we couldn't really afford it. And we just did things that I thought would really enrich the experience of my children. We went to, of course, the traditional Disneyland and Disney World and all the fun places for the kids when they were young. But then as they got older, we took them very interesting places like India. So I asked him, what do you remember from that trip? And he said, Mom, to be totally honest, I don't remember very much of it. Now, of course, my son is not forgetful. He's super smart. He knows 9 languages, and he learned programming just for fun. His brain works. He is really smart, but he just didn't remember those trips. And I realized that after all that effort that we had put into organizing trips for the kids, that they really didn't remember the fine detail. I mean, my other son remembers, like, for example, driving our car on the beach in Brighton and eating fish and chips out of newspaper cones. And, we can remember all the things that, impacted them sort of really emotionally. But for the most part, they just didn't, travel was an event for the family. It wasn't a personal experience for them at that time in their lives. So that's what I wanted to chat with you about today, is that, by internalizing your travel and remembering your trips, you can really kind of re-experience them anytime that you like, because they were special to you and you had that moment of emotional connection to it. I had an interview once, it's actually a couple of years ago now, with John Medina, Dr. John Medina, who's a brain expert. And we were talking about nostalgia and how it has this amazing power to energize and to keep you healthy and strong, just because it exercises the brain and it solidifies our memories by reflecting on them again. And when you go back to the past, like our brain, they show this on studies, that your brain lights up when you think about the past and reflect on memories. So it genuinely impacts the activity in your brain. How cool is that? But anyway, it was talking about nostalgia and how powerful it is. So I decided that I would just take a step back myself and look at the trips I'd taken and try to remember them. Now, this little experiment was kind of for me, but I think it's going to have an impact on you too, because it's pretty powerful. So I have a hobby or a habit when I travel of collecting postcards. I used to buy lots of little souvenirs, trinkets, and things, but then I changed and I just bought postcards. So everywhere I go, whether it's just going to the train station or whether it's spending a week there, I get a postcard or two or three, and I put them together in on the wall in my house. I have a section where I post pin up postcards as I come back from a trip. And at the end of the year, I put them in a little bundle and I put a ribbon around them and put them in a special box that I've got for my postcards. I've been doing this now for about 5 or 6 years properly. I have got boxes of postcards from before, but this is just the last couple, 5 years, 6 years. So I'll show you because I want you to see this. Okay, so this was the postcards from last year. You can see all these places that I have been. And the next one, this is actually 2004. 14, sorry, 2000. I even wrote it on there, 2014. All the places that I traveled in 2014. And then honestly, they go back. I could show you more. And more. Oops, and more that I'm dropping. But still, you see, you get the picture. I've got little groups of postcards, and it proves to myself, obviously, how much I've traveled and how much fun I've had. But anyway, the experiment was to take a postcard from Bali last year, 2 years ago. And I took this postcard randomly out of this batch of postcards, and I looked at it, and it was this lush green rice paddy. And there was the scene, and I was in my mind there. And suddenly I remembered everything about the trip. I remembered the flight to Denpasar, getting on the Singapore Airlines flight from Singapore and flying over Bali, looking down over the landscape. I remember the clouds in that sky that day. It was just remarkable. I took some pictures of that. They were just hypnotic and beautiful. I remember my driver picking me up. And the driver I'd chosen was from the place where I was staying, and we became really good friends over the course of the time I was there, and I remember him so well. And that's, the combing is in my heart and my mind from that trip and another one. I remember the drive from Denpasar to Ubud and how amazing that was. And then, of course, the places I stayed in Ubud, the yoga barn and the onion where I stayed, and then going to the monkey forest. And all these monkeys all over the place. I was actually quite terrified. But I remember the taste of food, the special food. Amazing food there. And then I remember there was a cafe, well, there were two that I loved. One was just overlooking a rice field. And I would sit there with a cup of tea several times a day sometimes and just gaze out as the birds would fly over the field and people would be out working and in their costumes or in their gardening gear. And it was just amazing to watch. And then another cafe called the Clear Cafe, where I met several people that I got to know as friends. Then I remembered, the first yoga class I took after 40 years at the yoga barn. And I remember my teacher there and some of the things he said that really, really impacted me. One in particular, I'll mention it because it was so powerful. He said, he wasn't talking to me specifically, but he was talking to the class where he said, wherever you are right now with your body, just own it. Own it. You guys, you have taken your body to this point in your life. Whatever you're feeling right now is a result of decisions you've made, so just own it. And that was so powerful to me that I couldn't complain really anymore. But you see what happened with that simple postcard? I got so much of a memory about the place, not just the visual, but the emotional, the senses, the sensory, the auditory, everything came back. It was really, really wonderful. And I think that, memories are I think we talk about this in the article, it's a gold coin that is like never going to lose its value. That you can always go back to those memories and reflect and energize your brain based on the reflections. And it doesn't have to be an exotic trip to Bali. It could have been just a trip to the next town or to a place where you met someone or you had an experience that really, really struck you. So I think that's the important thing. The remembering is as important as the doing. This is my belief. And, use these visualization exercises to really go deep into the value of travel for you and what you learned, what you learned from it, how you changed from those experiences. Listen to music. I have some recordings that I took while I was in Bali and other places too. And I listen to them regularly because music is a great stimulator for brain activity. So go on magical journeys to your favorite places. And I would love to know more about yours. I mean, just tell us in the section below, what are some of your amazing travel memories that you'd like to share with us? Do you have any, like the ones that maybe is not as intense, but just any ones that you'd like to share, any travel memories? Do you ever close your eyes and just imagine all the amazing places that you've visited? I do. And I'm really grateful for every single one of them. And even though I moan sometimes like, oh, I'm not traveling enough anymore, I've got enough incredible memories right here that I've got to draw on. And I'm going to do that more regularly. It was wonderful. So tell us about your best travel memories. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. It's wonderful to have you on this journey with me and hope that you're doing well. Look forward to reading all your comments. And thank you once again for your support and your love. It's all back to you too. Take very good care. Bye-bye for now.